Here is lovely navigator Nami looking very lovely as always. If you like this picture, remember to follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram to see more pictures like this. Have a nice day.
One Piece Chapter 106, The Town of Velka?
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another lovely review on the epic and masterfully woven tale of One Piece. Our last chapter really just kind of saw the Straw Hat Pirates going to set out on their journey. Their next destination is Whiskey Peak. Luffy has agreed to give Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday a lift back to wherever their town is. And that's where we're left. We understand about how the log pose works now and how you have to utilize it in an untraditional way because it pretty much you have to use the magnetic fields. It records the information from one island and then gives you a bearing to get to the next island. And as we find out quickly as the chapter unfolds, the Grand Line is definitely a very treacherous place. I mentioned in my last review, why can't you just kind of sail around until you run into things? Obviously there is reasoning for it, but they explain it much better in this chapter because they're sailing along, and then all of a sudden it's winter time, and Luffy and Usopp are building snowmen and kind of goofing around and frolicking around in the snow. And Nami's like, what the hell? How can they be so just so kind of like lighthearted about things, And then Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday are sitting there and they're like, God, don't you have a heater on this ship? And she's like, shut up, you're not guests here. We're just giving you a lift. You gotta help with some things here. But they wind up, they say, hey, listen, you haven't really been steering that much, And she's like, well, I just checked our heading a little while ago, on the log pose. And she goes and checks it, and she's like, son of a bitch, She's like, we got to turn the ship around 180 degrees. And then Usopp and even Luffy are like, well, what do you mean? We got to go back? Did we forget something? And she's like, no, somehow we got turned around. So basically, Miss Wednesday explains, she says, listen, it says you can't rely on anything, the wind, the sun, anything, as far as the direction that you're going. The Grand Line is a very treacherous place, and things basically, keep changing at a moment's notice. Now, the whole time this is all happening, and since before they set out, Zoro, his deal seems to be that he sleeps a lot. He sleeps through a lot of stuff, and Zoro's passed out. Nami's pretty much trying to get all hands on deck, getting everybody to help. You've got Sanji, who's all smitten with her, and just a few minutes before was asking her, how long should I shovel the snow for, Nami? And she's like, until it stops snowing. But anyway, so we find out that they're headed the wrong way, and that she really has to look pretty much constantly at this log pose to get them to where they got to go, because the way things work, you can just get turned around at a moment's notice. So she's putting everybody to work. She's got everybody going. Sanji's on the whip staff. Usopp and Miss Wednesday and Mr. Nine are letting out stuff on the sails and helping so they can turn. And then there's a leak. Well, they wind up seeing an iceberg is what it is, and all I could think of is like the Titanic. And but they wind up scraping this iceberg, and there's so then there's a leak, and down in the ship. And she says, Nami's directing everybody, and she says, Usopp, we need you to get down there and and plug that hole or whatever. So while they're getting all that stuff done, then all of a sudden, next thing you know, and I mean, they're in the shit, right? The wind's changing, the sails aren't working right, they're going the wrong way again. Then all of a sudden, boom, just suddenly calm seas, and you just see like seagulls flying overhead, right? All of a sudden, Zoro wakes up from his nap, and now Nami had tried to get him up during this whole catastrophe, right? And he was just sleeping right through it. So he gets up, and he sees everybody just kind of laid out from running around trying to keep them from sinking, and of course, getting back on course. And Zoro's just kind of like, shouldn't you guys be working? I mean, I know it's a nice day and everything, but geez. So Zoro then goes and sees Mr. Nine and Miss Wednesday, and he's like, what the hell are you two doing here, Luffy's like, we're going to give them a lift to their, to their place or whatever. And Zoro says, I hope we're not giving them a lift there, And Luffy says, that's exactly what we're doing. We're taking them to Whiskey Peak. And Zoro's like, you don't owe them anything, And Luffy says, yeah, I know. So it's kind of funny because then he goes and he's just like, he's like, I seem to, I see you two in my dreams or whatever. And it was probably just because he's been, sleeping and he was overhearing everything that was happening with these two dinglings. They show a close-up shot of the two of them, and Mr. Nine, now I know what he reminds me of, and he reminds me of the Burger King mascot. if you've ever seen those cheesy commercials for Burger King where they've got that guy in like it's like a fake like plastic mask or whatever with the crown on, he's running around, he's got the permanent smile on his face. If you haven't, Google it and look it up, because that's what Mr. 9 reminds me of anyway. I just got a little chuckle out of that. So Nami comes out and goes and bashes Zoro upside the head, and she's like, what the hell is wrong with you? How could you sleep through that? We were trying to wake you up, and you wouldn't get up. You wouldn't help us. So Zoro is clearly not in the good graces of Nami over here. Then we wind up going and we see, Luffy goes and says, or somebody mentions that, we've completed the first leg of our journey now, right? So they go and they look out and they see Whiskey Peak, and that's what it is that I think Luffy says, the first part of our journey is over, the first leg of our journey. They see Whiskey Peak, and it looks like a bunch of giant cactuses, or cacti, I guess you'd call them, but a number of large cactuses, cacti, whatever, sticks, the size of like mountains, like sticking out of the water. And they're like, okay, what the hell? So Mr. 9 and Miss Wednesday, as they go and see this and start approaching it, they're just like, okay, well, see you later. Thanks for the ride. And they just go and just jump overboard. And they're like, what the hell is with those two? And just leave them, whatever. They're weird. So they wind up going and as they got to go and sail into the island, Nami goes and tells us about how as you get to each island, because Usopp says, well, we don't want to be here too long, or somebody mentions that, but Nami goes and says, no, each island that we get to, we have to record its magnetic field in the log pose, and each island is different. And that's how we get to the next island. And some could take, just hours, some could take days, So Usopp's like, because Usopp had mentioned that there's maybe monsters here, and Zoro's like, maybe, it's the Grand Line, right? And Usopp's just like, so if this one winds up taking days, we may have to go and stay on this island or around this island for days, kind of dodging monsters, right? So we can see he's not in favor of exploring some of these new islands. He's still obviously fearful, and hasn't seen a whole lot of action yet, so he's probably still excited that he wound up, beating Chu, back in, one of Arlong's lieutenants, back in the Arlong Park saga. So at any rate, we wind up going and they go and they sail up this river that goes and takes them into the interior of the island, in between the giant cacti or cactuses. And as they're approaching, some of the people from the town are like, hey, is that a ship? Pirates, and they're all like, oh, geez, great, pirates, and everybody's all excited. So as they go and they're kind of pulling up, it's sort of like everybody comes out to have this huge celebration, you know what I mean? They're all like, wow, pirates, that's great, the mayor comes out to welcome them. And I don't know exactly how to pronounce his name. It looks like Igarapoi, but he's the mayor, and he's just kind of this funny-looking fellow. He reminds me of like one of the old like forefathers here in the United States, where they would wear those powdered wigs with the curls, And even somebody mentions, one of the Straw Hats mentions here, God, you curl your hair way too much, dude, because he just sort of looks funny the way he's drawn. He's just real exaggerated all his features, and he's got this long hair. But he basically goes and he says, and it's all curly, But he basically goes and tells everybody, welcome to Whiskey Peak, and we're going to celebrate. And Sanji's all like, oh, there's tons of girls here, So that the hound dog is about to go out over there. So guy's like a walking STD. But anyway, so that's just my opinion from what I've seen of the guy, So he's a man whore in every sense of the word. But so they're a little bit wary, a couple of crew members are, but then ultimately everybody kind of winds up just caving in and giving in to the whole, we're going to celebrate, we're here, and let's have a celebration. So that's really where the chapter ends up. The mayor introducing himself, and everybody just kind of trying to put their mind at ease and saying, hey, listen, we've got you got plenty of food, plenty of drink, you're here, let's celebrate, blah blah. And personally, I don't know, of course, what happens in the future, because I'm like the manga virgin here with with One Piece especially. But I'm assuming that there's more than meets the eye to this particular island, and that things are not what they seem. I could be wrong though too. Maybe this is just a place. This is one of the first stops that a lot of pirates, legendary pirates, hit on the Grand Line, and. And maybe they've just kind of converted the town into this pirate-loving town or whatever. They figure, hey, these people, they got money and wealth. They're here, so might as well. But I guess we will see in the next in the next glorious chapter. So, but definitely some things that cracked me up in there. I really like, just finding out some of the things about how this log pose works and the the magnetic fields and all that and everything else. I think it's pretty cool. So let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button, of course, if you think I deserve it, and subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching you in the next one, Nation.
Remember, brothers and sisters, to share, subscribe, spread the word of the nation to others. And of course, if you like watching the videos, watching them is always much appreciated. Have a nice day.